So it is time to talk about peace talks. So obviously you know the framework of this book. We have these peace negotiations that are coming along that are obviously going to implode. We have the White Council that's wanting to disband, or that's wanting to get rid of Harry. We have the Outsiders that are wanting to kill Harry. We have Ebenezer who wants to take Maggie away from Harry. Just a lot of things are not going his way, as is the mantra of the series in general. So let's see what happened first, actually. I think first we see Maggie living with Harry in his home, as well as Bonnia, the parasite baby that has the knowledge of the universe and doesn't really know what information is more important than the next, and doesn't know how much information should be distributed at any given moment. I think this is a fascinating concept, and I really like seeing these two interacting and having, just making pancakes together, figuring out which pancake recipe they'd like to make, and working together. I thought it was a really sweet scene. I really like this strange family dynamic under Harry's home, especially because Harry is such a protective, loving person. I'm interested to see how his dynamic works with, I'm very invested in his relationship with Maggie. I'm very invested in his relationship with Maggie. I haven't even considered what his relationship with Bonnie would be. So this is, I would like to see more, please. This one scene was not near enough to satisfy me. But also Thomas lets us know that Justine is pregnant. This is rough. One, because of the typical, I wasn't expecting this. Am I ready to be a dad? Can I do this? Am I gonna be good at it? But also Justine's health is very much at risk, and also baby's life is going to be vampiric, which is rough. Thomas knows the struggle. It's not ideal. So just in general, this is a rough situation, and Thomas really needs a pep talk from his friend. And I really love, a lot of Harry's love for the people in his life is on the forefront in this book. His love for Maggie. Yep, Maggie. Whew. His counsel towards Molly, wanting her to talk to her parents about her very unique life situation as well. Building up Thomas, like, you can do this and I will be there to help you. And then fighting for Thomas when everything goes down for him. Just around every corner, we see Harry stepping up to the plate. And to the point where there are times where I'm like, Harry, I love you. I love the sight of you. I love that you want to fight for everyone that can't fight for themselves, but also sometimes you have to chill. Sometimes you gotta take care of you. You cannot be everything for every person. I think it was during his conversation with Justine when he told her, I'm gonna get Thomas back for you, no matter what, even if it costs me my life. And I'm like, well, you got 2 kids though, so maybe you don't do that. I know Thomas has a kid on the way too, but also, you are responsible for your own family too. You can't always be throwing your life on the line for every situation, although I don't know that he believes that of himself. I think he does. I think he has a responsibility to always, I think he just values everybody's life above his own. And he just wants to protect. So I want him to learn to protect him for the sake of the 2 children living under his roof. Also, he had an amazing conversation with Maggie when he was like, all right, I gotta go off to work. And Maggie goes, cool, are you coming back? Can you promise me that you would? And he didn't lie to her. He didn't promise her that he would. He didn't tell her, promise you I'll come back alive no matter what. And thankfully, I'm glad he didn't do that, because if he's working such a dangerous job, if he's doing this, if he's putting himself in these in these situations over and over and over again, then he has to prepare her for knowing that she's going to be okay without him if that time ever comes, that she will be protected, that he does have these checks and balances already set up to make sure that she will have a home, she will have a family, she will have love, she will have provisions. He needs to prepare her for what is very strong possibility. I know she's young, but promising a kid, I will come back to you no matter what, when you are not in control of that reality, feels like, I understand the compulsion of it, but I don't think it's the kindest thing for the child. The kid needs to know that no matter what, you will be cared for, that I am not in control of life and death, but in so far as everything I am in control of, I have made sure that you will be protected and cared for. It's a tough conversation to have with kids, but I do think that the kindest thing, especially in a situation like Harry's, is to give them the tools to be able to move forward if the worst happens, rather than to just promise them the best and here's hoping they don't come crashing down if the worst happens. All right, so then Ebenezer shows up and he's just all kinds of mad. And I get it. He's had a lot of rough goings with the White Council, with vampires in general. In his mind, his daughter's fate was the fault of the vampires exclusively, and now he sees his grandson and his his granddaughter, a great-granddaughter, Kali G, potentially also at risk of vampires. So when he sees a vampire in Harry's home around Harry's child, to Ebenezer, he's like, what are you doing? Like, what? This is the most obscene foolishness I have seen from you to date. Ebenezer was trying to surrendering his daughter and go get her, make sure that she's protected. It doesn't matter if she's with family or not, because that was the decision that he made. He did not attempt to be in Harry's life growing up, and Harry was not the better for it. Harry, in his own personal experience, can say, I was manipulated, I was put under the care of people who harmed me, I didn't have family, I felt alone, I still have scars for feeling so abandoned and alone in my life. Like, he can say, this was not the right call. But Ebenezer has never made an effort to have that one-to-one personal grandfather-grandson relationship. And so he can't know the experience that Harry's had because he's never bothered to check. And so to Ebenezer, it's all practicality. To Ebenezer, it's get your daughter away for her physical protection. And to Harry, it's, how's that worked out for you so far? Your daughter's dead, I'm damaged. To which Ebenezer replies, everybody in your life has died too. That's probably your fault, right? Which is like, wow, really bad move on his part. But he essentially says, Harry, you make all bad decisions. You're stupid. You can't be trusted to protect your child. And Harry says, I probably am pretty stupid, but also my kid needs me. And I'm going to be there as much as I can be. And again, I side with Harry, but they have a lot of friction, and I thought that it was beautifully written, and I think that it's conversations that, especially for Harry, felt true and necessary for him to really hash out a lot of this stuff and to feel, to have his decisions challenged and to feel sure that as much as he can't tell the future, you know, with the information that he has here, this seems to be the right choice for my kid. And so he stands his ground. I really like that. Okay, so we get this premise that Thomas attacked the king of Sparkle during negotiations. He's just brutally beaten, and he says Justine, and Harry's response is, yes, I will protect her, right? I'm talking about things out of order here. So I don't know. All we didn't watch it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, all we have is the word of what's her face, Ivana, and I can't come up with a reason why he did this without at least warning Harry. If he went in premeditated, like, I'm going to protect Justine, I'm going to protect my kid because of some threats, some nebulous threats that were made off page, or whatever the reason is, would he not have told Harry in advance, hey, by the way, I'm going to do this in a place that's going to leave you and your kids vulnerable because now you're going to be under suspicion, right? Like, would he not have said something to Harry about it to at least prepare the guy? Or maybe you could argue that he thought Harry would try to stop him. He's going to take care, he, like, in a fit of protectiveness, decided, I'm going to take care of my immediate responsibilities. Screw Harry. Like, I don't think it would. I just don't think he would. I think it was set up. And you know what else? I think Justine did it. Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe that's really stupid, but I don't really know Justine that well. I am suspect of her, especially because Thomas keeps bringing up all throughout the time that we have with him. He keeps trying to speak, and Harry's like, no worries, I got Justine for you. I don't think that's what that was about. I don't think Thomas is just over and over again trying to get Harry's attention to be like, also Justine, you got her? She good? Maybe he is. He super loves her. But there is a mystery of, like, there's someone that's betraying us. Maybe it's a really bad theory. It might be a terrible theory. But he didn't say protect Justine. He just said Justine. And his actions don't make any sense to me. That might be on me. Okay, so Laura calls in a favor, which Mab puts on Harry. He says, you owe her too. And so she's like, neato, you're helping me break Thomas out. Which, I mean, he probably would have helped anyway. But she makes Harry help. Murphy cuts off her cast and says, I'm helping too. Even though it's like, Murphy, you are amazing. You are a wonderful fighter. Very, very cool. One of the best characters in the series. You should rest. You need to rest. You're being kind of dumb. And her cast was going to come off soon. She's been healing for a long time, but, like, your leg is weak when it comes out of a cast, and also stinky, which is why we had the bath scene, which was actually really sweet. I love that it was when she was broken down, very stinky, unable to even bathe herself, that's when they had their I love yous exchanged, and it just felt so sincere. It was a really sweet scene. She's super gonna die. We'll get to that in a minute though. Anyway, so we also had, we had a few really good, actually, we had some great character scenes. Harry and Michael had an amazing conversation. Michael talking about faith, really encouraging Harry to, you have to sleep. You need to care for yourself, which I agree. Asking about Molly, like it was such a quick scene, but every scene that Michael gets is a standout scene in the series. Easily one of my favorite characters. I think that it's good that he isn't all the time always on the forefront, because then I just savor his scenes that much more when we do get them. And I think he's going to be on the forefront again later on. Maybe I'm wrong, but I have loved the role that Michael has played in this series. Molly too, as I think I already mentioned this, has not told her parents yet. She's really afraid to. And Harry's like, you have to. And I agree. The Carpenters are so loving and supportive. And you don't think that Michael, even though yes, it will be a tough pill for them to swallow, you don't think that Michael is going to love her through this? Come on. I cannot wait for that scene to come when she finally does tell them, and to see their response and to see them just come together as a family. Oh, also Harry's Starborn. That was something that we learned in this book. So he is able to be able to actually hurt the Outsiders. So that's obviously going to be a huge plot point coming up. That was just kind of set up. So I don't have a ton of commentary about that. Probably on a reread, I could see a lot of, I imagine I could see a lot of people acting a certain kind of way around Harry, maybe people that know about it or are suspicious of it. I don't know. Anyway, King Corb declares war on all of humanity, so that's going to be the battleground that we've got next up. But first, he introduces the last Titan, Ethen, who is, oh, what an entrance, throwing the severed head at the feet of Mab, calling it a peace offering, and then Mab, is upset, and Ethen just lowers her hood. I think she lowered her hood and then just like flicks Mab away through the walls, absolutely destroys her, which is great because Mab is such a powerful being, and to have someone built up like Mab is, and then introduce a new villain and make light work of who was our insurmountable foe really feels pretty insurmountable. So I'm really looking forward to this. I hope such a strong introduction, I hope she can live up to that hype, but the king bows before her. So she is a beast. The whole rescue of Thomas, I think, was definitely a low point of the book for me. It just drags. Like I get tired of everybody's horny and everybody's position that they're in. The mantles that they carry make them extra super horny, and also feeding is super sexual, and also there's a projection of Harry having sex out in the open, and like all of this stuff that's just kind of littered in throughout the book. Not only is it super repetitive, like I promise you I understand. I understand how this affects everybody, but also the way it's written. It's just the same thing every single book. Like it's just over and over again, sometimes multiple times throughout the book. It's just like the same descriptions copy and pasted. So to me, it's very eye-rolly. Like, I'm tired of reading it. I don't think it adds anything to the book at this point. If you wanted to say something new with it, then that would be interesting. But Harry's fighting temptation. Everybody's horny. Everybody's super hot. Harry notices. It's just like, it's not adding anything to the book to just write the same thing over and over again. I know people disagree with me on this, but I'm saying it. Oh, but Mab does show back up after she got blasted away, and she's like healing herself as we're watching it happen. And we were right. So we find out that the outer gates are under attack, and the outsiders and the Fomor, however you would say that, are allies. Oh, also the Fomor army is coming. So it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be super bad. Lots of big fighting. Not looking good. So what needs to come next? Ebenezer needs to show up. So I loved this scene with Ebenezer because we see, well, first of all, Harry finally tells Ebenezer that, yes, Thomas is also your grandson, which one could have predicted wouldn't go so well. Earlier in the book, which I forgot to mention, earlier in the book when Ebenezer was trying to get Harry to disengage with Thomas altogether, and he's like, he's not one of ours, and Harry's response is, he's one of mine. I love that line. But now he actually is trying to tell Ebenezer, he's one of yours too. And Ebenezer's response is about as awful as it possibly could have been, responding with rage, with violence, with a lack of control, and he could have killed Harry if Harry weren't using a projection. Good job, Harry. I think in the future, when we do address Ebenezer again, we're going to see a lot of regret from him. I think that I think there's a lot of room for character growth for him. I think that once he realizes what he did to someone that he does claim as his own and someone that he does want to protect out of this hatred that he has, this baggage that he's been carrying to the point of being willing to be violent towards someone that he wants to be protecting, but like the rage is actually stronger than the instinct to protect. I feel that that is going to be a big wake up. That said, my favorite part about this scene was the fallout. It was Harry's response. It was Harry's shock at what his grandfather just did, as well as looking at himself, because he always puts everything on himself, and saying, what stops me from becoming that? And Murphy's response was, you've got me. I'm what stops you. Which, if anything could be a death flag, that's it. That's the one. To go into battle, the battle, already pre-injured and not totally healed, not totally having gained your strength back, having just established, and I love you, having just established the beginning of a relationship that has had a 15-book build-up, and then you say the thing keeping you from turning into that is me? In a book that is all about Harry's personal growth and personal resistance toward turning dark, and his self-control being the thing that anchors him down, his convictions, his morals is what anchors him down, and then you want to be the anchor? You have to be cut loose now. There's no option after this. Maybe I'm wrong, but oh my goodness. She needs to read a novel or something. That is not the line you want the love interest to say right before a huge battle. Okay, so the book concluded with Harry trapping Thomas in the Warden Crystal to keep him alive. It's going to be horrible. Oh my goodness, I can't imagine. I'm sure we're going to explore that in the next book. Lara assumes that Harry is betraying her. I mean, from her perspective, he could have explained something to her. I don't know. From her perspective, I understand it. So they have a big fight. Murphy's awesome again, and they end up talking it out and having sort of like tenuous allyship. I hope it sticks. Harry is allying himself with a lot of people that it all feels pretty tenuous, other than his core group, which have not, a lot of them were not even in this book, or were barely in this book. So we're going to need, in the beginning of the next book, we're going to need a convergence of sorts, as well as, hey guys, these are my allies right now. And then the big giant battle, which will cause a lot of pain. And I think Murphy is in the front lines of that pain. I think I covered pretty much everything. One note that I forgot to go over is the conjuritis that Harry is suffering from in this book. I am curious where that came from, why he has it. But also I noticed that a lot of times what he ends up conjuring with his sneeze is something that he was directly thinking about in the moment, so I'm wondering how that's going to turn into a significant plot point in the midst of battle. And I probably missed a whole bunch of other stuff, because there were a lot of little things that happened in this book. In my wrap-up, I gave it 3 stars, which I filmed that wrap-up immediately after reading the book, finishing the book. So I do think I was a little bit harsh, because I do tend to be more harsh when an author writes a book and then a publisher says, no, you must split it. And then it's just split. It's not like turned into a cohesive story on its own, as much as it could have been. I do tend to be a little bit hard on that sort of thing, because I do think that certain things could have been cut, could have been moved around, and we could have made this a little bit more polished as its own book, rather than just saying, hey, I was made to split this, Sorry, it's split. Read the two together. I mean, it is a book of buildup, and I personally have no problem with that. I don't take issue with a book of buildup. It's never going to be the top-rated book, but I think a book of buildup has the opportunity to have incredible emotional beats, a lot of personal exploration, and a lot of setup that is really interesting and exciting to read. And this book was all those things, but I also think that it could have been better to be its own standalone thing. So I don't know, maybe a 3.5 is more fair. I really enjoyed reading it though. I had a good time with it. Anyway, I plan on starting Battlegrounds pretty much right away. I've been holding off to film this video, which I'm filming this video like 3 days after I finished, 4 days after I finished reading the book. So I finally have filmed it. So now I can get straight into the next book, and we will talk about that this month as well. I plan on having the review for Battleground in February as well. So we will talk again very soon. Please chat with me more in the comments if you feel like it, if I missed something, if I misunderstood something, that's very possible. I will see you again soon. Bye.